Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek Suresh Sankhe. I am student of a SAS Institute of Management Studies. Today I am presenting the PPT of a Porter's Five Force model. The introduction of a Porter's Five Force model is the model of the five competitive forces was developed by Michael E. Porter in his book Competitive Strategy Technique for Analyzing Industries and Competitor in 1980. Since that time, it has become an important tool for analyzing an organization industry structure in a strategic process. Porter's model is based on the insight that a corporate strategy should meet the opportunity and threats in the organization external environment. Especially competitive strategy should base on an understanding of a industry structure and the way they change. Porter has identified five competitive forces that shape every industry and every market. These forces determine the intensity of a competition and hence the profitability and attractiveness of an industry. The objective of a corporate strategy should be to be modify these competitive forces in a way that improves the position of the organization. Porter's model support analysis of the driving forces in an industry based on the information derived from the five forces analysis. Management can decide how to influence or to explore particular characteristics of their industry. Porter 5-4 Morse analysis. There is a chart. The threat of a new entry, buyer power, threat of a substitution, supplier power, competitive rivalry. The five competitive forces are: first is the bargaining power of a supplier, second bargaining power of a customer, third is the threat of a new entrant, fourth is the threat of a substitutes, fifth competitive rivalry between existing players. The first is a bargaining power of a supplier. The term supplier comprises all sources for input that are needed in order to provide goods or services. Supplier bargaining power is likely to be high when the market is dominated by a few large suppliers rather than a fragmented source of a supply. There are no substitutes for the particular input. The supplier customer are fragmented, so their bargaining power is low. The switching cost from one supplier to another are high. There is the possibility of the supplier integrating forward in order to obtain higher prices and margin. This threat is especially high when the buying industry has a higher profitability than the supplier industry. Forward integration provides economics of a scale for the supplier. The buying industry hinders the supplying industry in their development. Example, reluctance to accept new release of a product. The buying industry has low barriers to entry. In such a situation, the buying industry often face a high pressure on margins from their suppliers. The relationship of two powerful suppliers can potentially reduce strategic option for the organization. The second is the bargaining power of a customer. Similarly, the bargaining power of a customer determines how much customer can impose pressure on a margin and volumes. Customer bargaining power is like to high when they buy large volume. There is a concentration of a buyer. The supplying industry comprises a large number of small operators. The supplying industry operates with a high fixed cost. The product is undifferentiated and can be replaced by substitute. Switching to an alternative product is a relatively simple and is not related to high cost. Customers have a low margin and are price sensitive. Customer could produce the product themselves. The product is not strategical importance for the customer. The customer know about the production cost of the product. There is a possibility of the customer integrated backward. The third is a threat of a new entrance. The competition is an industry will be the higher, the easier it is for other companies for enter in an industry. In such a situation, new entrants could change major determinants of the market environment. Example: market share, price, customer loyalty at any time. There is always a latest pressure for a reaction and adjustment for existing player in the industry. The threat of new entries will depend on the extent to which there are barriers to entry. These are typically economics of a scale, high initial investment and fixed cost advantages of an existing player due to experience curve effect of a operation with fully de- uh, depreciate assets, branded brand loyalty of a customer, protected intellectual property like patent license etc, patents license etc, scarcity of an important resource, example qualified expert staff, access to raw material is controlled by existing player, distribution channel are controlled by existing player, high switching cost of a customer, legislation and government action. Fourth is a threat of a substitute. A threat from a substitute exists if there are a alternative product with lower price of a better performance parameters for the same purpose. They could potentially attract a significant proportion of a market volume and hence reduce the potential sales volume of an existing player. The category also related to complementary products. Similarly to the threat of a new entrant, the threat of a substitute is determined by a factor like brand loyalty of a customers, close customer relationship, switching cost of a customers, the relative price of a performance of a substitute, current trends. The fifth, competitive rivalry between existing players. This post describe the intensity of a competition between existing player companies is an industry. High competition pressure result in a pressure of on a price, margins, and hence on a profitability for every single company in the industry. Competition between existing players is like to be high when there are many players of about the same size. Players have similar strategies. There is not much differential between player and their products. Hence there is much price competition, low market growth rate. Growth of a particular company is possibly only at the expense of a competitor. Barriers of exit are high. Example: expensive and highly specialized equipment. Use of the information from five forces analysis. Five forces analysis can provide valuable information for three aspects of a corporate planning. The first is a statistical analysis. The five forces analysis allow determine the attractiveness of an industry. It provide insight of on a profitability. Thus, it support discussion about entry to or exit from an industry or a market segment. Moreover, the model can be used to compare the impact of a competitive forces on the own organization with their impact on a competitor. Competitor may have a different option to react to change in a competitive forces from their different resource and competitors. This may influence the structure of the whole industry. The second is a dynamical analysis. In a combination with a past analysis, which reveal drives for change in an industry, five forces analysis can reveal insight about the potential future attractiveness of the industry. Expected political, economical, socio-demographical, and technological changes can influence the five competitive forces and thus have an impact on the industry structure. Useful tools to determine potential changes to competitive forces are scenarios. The third is the analysis of options. With the knowledge about intensity and power of a competitive forces, organization can develop options to influence them in a way that improve their own competitive position. The result could be a new strategic direction. Example, a new positioning differential for a competitive product of a strategical partnership. The five forces model is based on a microeconomics. It takes into account supply and demand, complementary products, and substitute the relationship between volume of a production and cost of a production, and market structure like monopoly, oligopoly, or perfect competition. The PPT is over. Thank you.